What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing a voiceover for today's video of the Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame tour. When I got to Ohio, I went to go plug in my microphone to my camera and realized that the cord was broken. How did it break? I have no idea. So we're going to have to pivot a little bit. I did get a ton of good content via video, so I'm just going to have to sit back here and talk you through my experience, Mrs. Murph and I's experience at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So when you first walk into the Hall of Fame after you grab your tickets, they do have a couple of displays there showing the history of the game. And then there's a bunch of different photos that line the wall. Just some cool moments throughout the game in recent years, really. But the really cool thing here is this car. The significance of this automobile, as they called it, is this is when the NFL was first formed. They didn't have enough seats at a table, so I forget the guy's name, backed his car into the place, and some people sat on the car while some people were sitting at the table, and that is when they came up with the National Football League. After you exit the lobby that had the car and those pictures, you go up this rampway with a bunch of really cool historic players all throughout the game. Absolute legends upon legends, all displayed there along the walls. But then you walk into this room, the NFL's first century, that displays the entire first 100 years of the NFL. This is a circular room, but when you're walking and looking at all these displays, Mrs. Murph and I even mentioned, like, oh wow, we didn't even feel like we walked around in a circle. So each little section goes over the NFL, and again, in terms of its first 100 years, and they even have a little display about the pre-NFL from 1892 to 1919. And it's just a completely different game than what we know and love. You can even see the equipment on the left-hand side. You can see some of the uniforms that they wore. It's just a completely different game, and it just shows the evolution of the NFL as we know it. And like Major League Baseball, where their Hall of Fame is in Cooperstown, that's where MLB was born. The NFL is born in Canton, Ohio, and that is where the Pro Football Hall of Fame is. And this is talking about that football, as they know it, was facing a major problem, as players would just bounce around from team to team to team all so often. So they needed a more structured format, a structured league with set salaries and wages, and eligibility for certain players to leave teams, recruiting players from certain colleges, because you could just go buy a player for a game, have them play that one game, and that's kind of it. So just the structure of the league itself, or pre-NFL, was completely different than the concept that we know of today. So as you guys know, I'm a big draft guy. I love the draft in April every year, and this section right here was very interesting to me. The first ever NFL draft, the NFL player draft, was the creation of Philadelphia Eagles owner and future NFL commissioner Burt Bell, and his creation of the draft will forever have changed the game and the scape of football, and how teams build teams, how teams acquire players, how teams make moves and maneuvers. The draft was first implemented to help bad teams get better. He had the concept and the idea to let the team with the worst record go first in the draft, the team with the best record who won go last in the draft, and that is something we still see today. This section of the Hall of Fame talks about how the NFL changed and the expansion of the NFL, first talking about the AFL, the American Football League, how it challenged the NFL. The creation of the AFL in 1960 would rival the NFL for a handful of seasons until the merger in 1966, where the AFL and the NFL would merge, creating one unity of a league, still called the NFL as we see today. And the Super Bowl era begins, where the champion of the NFL and the champion of the AFL would compete against each other for the crown jewel of pro football, which is still a concept today. We just had Super Bowl 57 between the AFC's Kansas City Chiefs and the NFC's Philadelphia Eagles. So all the way back then was the first ever Super Bowl, and it was really cool to kind of go back and look at the history among the AFC and, well, I should say the AFL and the NFL, which is now the AFC and the NFC. And then as some guy, I think that's Kim actually stretching her arm, kind of getting in my way here. So apparently free agency started relatively recently in 1993. I know baseball's free agency started, I believe, in the 70s, I think maybe 80s actually. But free agency is such a popular and such a talked about time of year is when players go off and sign with another team, leaving their former team. This is something that started in 1993. I thought it's been around a lot longer than that. However, really cool to kind of read upon the creation of free agency in NFL. So after we get through the first 100 years, we go upstairs to another level where there's a lot of interactive components up there, such as some football pads and for people to try on, and Mrs. Murph here tries them on, looking all adorable and such. And I say a couple things I forget. I know I have the on-camera microphone, but then after she tries it on before she takes off, I run into her. Another cool interactive thing that they had was they had a football helmet that you could try on, and it'd be like the quarterback's helmet with like the offensive coordinator or the play caller calling in the plays to the helmet. So I was just covering up my ears and kind of pretending I was a quarterback. Get the call. All right, break. All right, so as fun as this was, it was also kind of challenging, but this is kind of like an instant replay booth where the official will go under the hood and look at a play that is being reviewed. So we had that opportunity to kind of go under the hood and look at a couple different plays. Mrs. Murph picked low field level play. So this is a play where the ball carrier has the ball. This is Jameson Crowder. He gets tackled, but the ball also pops out. So we have to go and look at different camera angles to see if he maintains possession as he goes to the ground or if he loses possession of the ball before he is officially downed. And a nice little jet sweep there, looking at a couple different angles, looking at it in live action, looking at it from the side. The slow-mo, and then you got to make your call, and you have 60 seconds on the timer, just obviously to keep things moving. What did I call? I think the call on the field was a fumble. And what did I put here? I don't know what the difference between confirmed stand or reverse is. I got it wrong. I think it was supposed to be overturned to he was downed, which I felt pressured for time. I got it wrong. I'm sorry. After about a 15-minute video or so that I wasn't able to record in, we come right out here to all of the buffs of the Football Hall of Famers. Now, this was really, really cool to see. When Mrs. Murph and I went to Cooperstown, I loved seeing all the plaques of all the players that were there in the hall. Now we can see all the buffs of all the Hall of Famers, and this is just really, really cool. It's just really breathtaking to see. Absolutely awesome experience. And I'm just showing, and it just goes by year, class by class, really. And then you just kind of turn the corner and then look at all of that history. That is just absolutely incredible. And like, it even goes further around the corner. I have to walk to the other side. And what year is that? 1996. So like, there's still like 20 years ahead. And it's just incredible experience. Again, breathtaking, really awesome, and something I will always, always remember. It's just, again, if you appreciate the game of football and you love the game of football, this is an absolute great moment, a great experience for any football fan to go see. It's just, again, like, you'll come across players like, oh, wow, I remember when they were playing. They're in the Hall of Fame now. That's awesome. Just, like a name you might forget. Or, again, players that you grew up loving, and now they're in the Hall of Fame. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, this is something at the Hall of Fame that absolutely has to be new because there was a bunch of new cards here. But this was a plaque of Hall of Fame members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but cards of them. And it was kind of all displayed on a wall behind a case. It was really, really awesome. And it was so cool to see certain cards. And I'm pointing out, mosaic cards that came out last year. So, again, these are new or newer display that they have here. So it's kind of cool to see the sports card hobby was incorporated at the Hall of Fame, something I didn't see at the Baseball Hall of Fame when I was just there a few months ago. It's just really cool. Something I would like to do at the shop is to kind of have a display of all these sports cards. This little section I really appreciated, as it was the draft card. On the left was Matthew Stafford's original night draft card, and then there was Tom Brady's draft card from the 1999 draft. Super cool, especially being a Pats fan. Something I didn't expect at the Hall of Fame was having like a bunch of displays of current, this year, recent stuff that happened around the game of football. So here, those are jerseys of TJ and JJ Watt. There's Derrick Henry's jersey from his famous stiff arm. JJ Watt's iconic elbow brace. Let's see, what is this? Stephon Diggs cleats from the Minneapolis Miracle. Tom Brady throwing a record touchdown ball. Really, really cool stuff here. Again, this is all more recent and modern stuff from today's game. So, a section, an exhibit that I didn't expect to see. I mean, this Tua jersey right here was from when the Dolphins came all the way back to beat the Ravens, earlier this season in September. So what was it, like week 2, week 3 maybe? So to have Tua's jersey from that historic comeback, really cool. And then this is the ball from Sam Hubbard's fumble touchdown against the Ravens in the wild card game. The Ravens-Bengals wild card game we just had a few weeks ago. So that's the ball from his rumbling touchdown that, when Tyler Huntley dropped the ball near the goal line. That just happened a couple of weeks ago, and that's already in the Hall of Fame. So again, really, really cool to see today's stuff along with the historic past stuff of the game of football. Now, this next part of the Hall of Fame, I was a little bummed and disappointed in. It goes over every Super Bowl winner from Super Bowl 1 all the way up to 56. Obviously, we just had 57, but 56 is the most recent documented one. However, usually the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy, is here in the Hall of Fame, and it would be right there. However, since the Super Bowl was literally, a week and a half ago, it was in Arizona for the big game. Obviously, now it's in the Kansas City Chiefs' possession. So that was a little upsetting to not be able to see it so close up and personal. However, just going through the decades of each Super Bowl from Super Bowl 1, 10, 20, 30, 40, more recently the 50s, really, really exciting to see. Again, the history of each Super Bowl in the moments of football's biggest game, maybe even sports' biggest game. A display I enjoyed at the Baseball Hall of Fame, I also enjoyed here at the Football Hall of Fame, was seeing all the rings and kind of the progression and growth of each ring, literally and figuratively, seeing each ring go from very small to very, very big. Again, it just kind of shows the technology and the growth of jewelry over the years, over the decades, and just kind of shows you what fanciness was back then compared to what fanciness is today. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and joining me. Hopefully the voiceover aspect of this video wasn't all too bad and it was somewhat enjoyable. But please make sure you smash the thumbs up button, comment down below, and of course subscribe to the channel if you're new or haven't considered subscribing, as I would greatly appreciate the love and support. But that is going to do it for this video. I've queued up an excellent video that I do believe is going to be excellent for your sports car endeavors. Hopefully, I'll see you in that one.